Hello, Year 7. It is Miss Sullivan here again. This is part 2 of the drawing compositions of packaging lesson. So, last lesson, the task that I asked you to do was to find some packaging items. It could have been the item that you drew a few weeks back, like I drew my Dib Dab packet. It could be that item, or it could just be some completely new items altogether. So I said to choose 3 to 6 items. So I chose 4 items, as you can see here. And then I said to arrange them in a nice composition. So just a reminder, that word composition, it basically means layout. So to arrange them in a different and interesting layout, using different heights, using landscape or portrait, and positioning them and manipulating them in an interesting shape. So what I got you to do last lesson was to carry out some quick drawings of your compositions. So we did a 5-minute line drawing and a 5-minute continuous line drawing where we didn't take our pencil off the page. So you did those as a practice. And then after that, I asked you to do a final drawing of your composition. So you should have something like this now. It should be an outlined drawing that looks something like these several items that you positioned and drew. So I did say that I outlined mine in a darker colour, just the outside, because that was something that I wanted to trial. But today, what I'm going to teach you is how to effectively and carefully colour your composition. So it should have some bright colours like we did with the packaging drawing with a single item a few weeks back. So I don't mind what material you use to colour it in today. I've got a selection of colour pencils here, and I've also got some coloured crayons as well. But it would be good if you can do this in colour. I'm going to teach you how to do it in colour, but I will talk about how you can use light and dark tones if you were shading with a pencil as well. So this is the main task we're going to focus on today. The first thing that you will need to do, though, is to put the date and title in your book or on your paper and to answer the question, the connect question, which is in the PowerPoint presentation that I've attached to the lesson. So you need to answer that first, date and title, answer the question, and then you can finish this drawing. It's just so I can keep track of how we're getting on. And then you need, excuse me, then you need to grab your drawing and you are ready to go. So, a few people last lesson didn't quite follow instructions and they carried on and they coloured their entire drawing. Some of them were good, some of them weren't so good, because I think people rushed through it. Yeah, it should take you the entire time to have done just this one drawing of your composition to get it accurate. So it might be that you need to spend a bit of time either redoing it, or I will set an extension task that you can do today as well. But it is really good to practice. So even if you have coloured it in, you might do another one and colour it in again, because that is how we practice and improve, okay? So the first thing that I always do when I'm colouring, and I said this previously when we did our single drawing a few weeks back like this, is to lay out all the colours that you see in your composition, because we want it to be lifelike. We want it to be realistic and we want it to stand out and be really, really bright. Just like the work of Sarah Graham, who I have included in the PowerPoint. She does drawings of sweets coming out of their packets, and they are super bright and lifelike. She does that using colour and shape to be able to do that. So I've laid out a selection of colours, pencils and crayons in front of me, like so. I've got a whole variety of colours here, so it is going to be a step-by-step kind of process. I can see there's yellows and reds in my packaging. If I look closer at one of my items, I can see even more than just yellow, orange and red. I can see white, I can see 2 different shades of yellow, I can see almost a maroony red, and I think that is most of it on that one. So really, really make sure that you are looking closely at this packaging. Go and zoom in with your eyes. Take each item step by step. it is not a race. To do a perfect coloured drawing, it is important that you are careful and you work slowly. So the first thing that I am going to start on is I'm going to add detail to this drawing now. So I'm going to grab my pencil before I add the colour in, and I'm going to add some detail to it. It is important that when you start to add your detail to your drawing, that you look at any different shapes or insignificances. So like here, any shadows that you can see, because you can draw that in with a line, with a crease, like you would have in your single drawing. So I've just drawn in a crease here to represent the crease in my crisp packet just at the back there. So you can do that first. Then I'm going to start to look again at larger shapes. So I can see a crisp just here, and I'm going to take some time with that. And again, this is going to take you a long time. You're not going to be able to see everything. You're not going to be able to get every single thing in. But when you are colouring this in, a few tips. Think about the shadows at the front here. Are there any shadows? I can see a shadow at the bottom of my can, just underneath it. So I'm going to add a line there that represents a shadow. I can also see some shadows coming in this direction. So I'm going to add, again, another pencil line of where my shadows are. And when I colour in my background, I will use black or whatever colour background you want to, wherever you're working, to be able to do that. And I'm going to build up light and dark shades going from in between there. There's also a shadow in between my box there. Just in between here. Because where the crisp packet sits over the packet, it is hiding some of the light that shines through here. So it builds up the shadow. Press quite lightly with your pencil. You might need to rub these out as you are going along. So what I'm going to do today, instead of showing you the entire packaging method, we've already done that, so I'm not going to show the entire thing because I already did technique in the previous video, which is on my YouTube as well. So if you do need to go back to that, please do. But I just want to talk about this shadow more. So I'm going to use some darker colours. See if I've got a dark crayon. It doesn't have to be the colour. Of your background necessarily. I'm going to use a dark blue and a dark grey in crayon to show the shadow coming from underneath my packaging. The shadow comes this way, and that's because most of my packaging is positioned with an angle to the left. If yours was positioned more to the right, your shadows would go that way. But that is how we can tell where our shadows are coming from. Coming this way. And I can see a darker area just in front of my packaging, just there. So it's just a little bit darker in this space here rather than over there. Okay. So I'm going to try and do that now. I can see that by here, my shadows are quite dark. And then they go a bit lighter. So I'm pressing softer. And then in the corner, they are really dark. So I'm using a blue to show this for you. And they go in that way. So I'm doing quite loose lines to show off that shadow. And around my can, it's really dark. But then it gets a bit lighter. So I'm going to use a light blue. You can use any colour you like really, but darker and lighter colours. And I'm going to blend my crayons on top of each other to show that shadow in my packaging. Just here. So as you can see, I've started to build up two colours to make it look like there's a shadow underneath. So it's a bit darker on this side. And then again, I'm going to layer up my darker colour. Just along the outside of the packet, it's only a little bit. And then I'm going to add my lighter colour there. Now you can do this in pencil. The reason I'm using crayons or pastels is because I feel that it creates a really nice texture and helps show the shadow in demonstration. So you can see now I've started to add a darker layer to the outside of my shadow. So underneath the items are where the shadows will come from. I'm now going to have a go at adding the shadow on top. So I've obviously got my carpet in the background. You don't have to draw what is behind you. But I'm going to continue to add my shadows going around my items. Just stick to several colours, maybe 2 or 3 to add it, because you don't want it to be too dark. So as you can see, I'm starting to build up my shadows around my items now. On top, I'm going to add just a lighter tone in the background for now. And I'm going to work really, really quickly. A shadow does not mean colour in the whole section. You can work quite lightly and build it up. So it helps to make the entire composition stand out and look 3D. But it might have a little bit of movement in it. So it looks like my crisp packet is now floating. So this is the technique that I really want you to focus on today. So if you have coloured in your composition, but you haven't added shadows to the background, that is the thing that you can work on and spend some time on today. Okay? But like I said, if you rush through this task, it might be that you need to have another go at drawing your composition, just the outline, and then start to build your detail and colours in. So I'm going to finish this now, and I will upload a picture of all my detail and with the background as well. So I hope you can get on with this activity, okay? It's a little bit more of a simple activity today because I just want you to continue and just finish step 2. And then next lesson, we are going to be moving on to something else packaging related that is going to challenge you a little bit. So just to recap, you are getting your line drawing that you did last week. You're putting the date and title in your book as well and answering the connect question. Then you're going to demonstrate your knowledge of adding all the patterns on the inside using colour, which is a video that I already did a few weeks back. You should know how to add colour like this. But the focus is to get this shading around the outside. This is the new skill that I am teaching you, is to build dimension, which is around the outside, to build tone, and to make your packaging look 3-dimensional. So I've just used a couple of colours. I've used a grey, a blue, well, a light blue and a dark blue to build up the darker and lighter tones. So you work quite quickly. Yeah, look at which direction your shadows are coming from. Hopefully you can get on with this all okay. Have a great week, Year 7. Many thanks, Miss Sullivan. Take care.